being here. Got
You
it.
may have to
So,
click on the screen
okay, I did it.
and
I did
also
it.
on the screen there
The big screen.
with the remote control. Yeah,
Okay.
the black one. No, no, not this, the other black one. There you go. Just point and okay.
Thank you, Marcel. Okay, good. Thank you. So I'm so glad to be here today with you all, in here and people from their homes, André in Brazil. I'm always so glad when I'm here in our spiritual center. This is a place of learning and it's a place of friendship, and we welcome new people. We're always happy to be here. And today I'm going to talk about something that is dear to my heart. I'm going to be talking about little ones today, about
Okay.
children.
Grau,
Yes.
you're not sharing your screen yet. Okay.
No, okay.
No, no, you're. You look like you believe that you were.
Oh, no. Okay, let me do it again then.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, you can. So there is always something with the technology here. So God, Marcelo is here, is over there. So we're gonna do it over. Today I'm gonna be talking about the little ones. The title of my talk today is a question. I'm inviting you all to think about the little ones too. And who are the little ones? Like I was saying, this is a topic that is dear to my heart. I'm a mother of three. I have three daughters, and I'm also a mental health care professional. I'm a psychotherapist. I have been working in the field for since 1998, and I have been having the chance to work with young people a lot lately. So I have been thinking about the young people, and I'm here today to share some of my thoughts. And yeah, let's begin. So I start with the question, who are the little ones? And then I always find answers when I go to Christ, when I go to Jesus, when I connect myself with God. And this is a wonderful place to do so because that's what we do here, right? So when we go to the Gospel according to Spiritism by Kardec, chapter 8, entitled Blessed are the Pure in Heart, there is a passage that talks about children. And in this passage, the story goes like this. Some children are going towards Jesus so they can be touched by Jesus. And then the disciples want to stop the children. They don't let the children go near him. And then Jesus said, no, let the children come to me. Let the children come to me, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these. So these are Jesus' words. And then here, when Jesus invites us to think about children in that way, individuals who need attention, individuals who need care, individuals who need to be embraced. I go back to my initial idea, of taking a closer look about young people today. So I think we all know that we're going through very trying times. Our society is changing rapidly. We come from this time when we were enclosed. There was the pandemic, and then there is a war going on. There is so much going on in the world today. The demands of our lives are so high. We have to work, we have to provide for our families, we have to maintain a life. And more often than not, we see ourselves tired or confused with so many changes, with so much going on, or even lonely or in distress. So imagine children. Imagine children. If we adults, we feel like that, imagine the little ones. Imagine children, imagine the teenagers, imagine how they feel. And then we look at the news today and we pay attention about things that are happening. And then we are just in awe and in shock. I think the word the best word here is in shock to see that there are so many shootings happening at schools, places in which children should be joyful and should be protected and should be learning and should be feeling safe are being targeted. So children, young children and teenagers, we see that they're being, they're in a time that they're most vulnerable. And, as I look at my own children, and as I look at people who come to speak with me in my practice, and when I work with groups too, I realize that children indeed, young children, older children, the teenagers, they are at loss. They're lost, they're confused, and they're kind of detached from their feelings. So, and I think it's important to take a, you know, pay attention about that. So there's some statistics nowadays showing us that suicide is the second leading cause of death among young people, starting at age 10. So people that young are committing suicide nowadays. So it's really a time for us to to let the children come to us and look at children and go back to this to Jesus' legacy and to his teachings. And so I was thinking about that. And then I keep thinking, I keep studying. And the other day, as we were working here, there was a thought that came to my mind is it would be beneficial, it would be optimal if we could love children through God's love, loving children through God's love. What do I mean when I say that? So what is God's love? Now let's try to put that in concrete terms. So let me take an example. God's love is all around us. Let's look at nature. Nature is a magnificent example of God's love for us. Nature is a gift that God gives to us, right? The air that we breathe. Sometimes we even forget, the sun, the flowers, animals, nature. So yeah, what do I mean when I say let's guard our children with God's love? So if nature is a gift of God to us, let's bring children to nature. And these are little things. These are very simple things. But today I'm going to be talking about little things. I'm going to be talking about little things because the little things are important. So if nature is a gift of God, to us, let's give this gift to our children. And you're gonna see that I'm gonna be talking about our children, because we're brothers and sisters. So it's really our children. I think also exercising that awareness that these are our children. So yes, we take our children, outside, and we show them the little things. It's so easy to make a child happy. Children are happy with small things as long as we're present with them. If you take children to nature, they will pay attention to the little bug that is crawling on the ground. They will look at the little flower. They will notice the wind and the rain. And then we have to exercise our ability to be present with them and to be able to see the little things and to be able to look at them, on that level. And then, yes, taking them to nature, that is one example. So when I talk about loving our children through God's love, so let's think about natural laws or God's laws. When we go to the Spiritist book by Allan Kardec, we can learn in a very detailed manner what are all God's laws. So one of the God's laws, if we take the law of worship, so prayer, Let's pray when children are close to us. Let's teach them to pray, even if it's just a short prayer. Sometimes life is so crazy, everything's so quick. We don't have time. But if we sit in the car and we're about to go somewhere, a quick prayer, please, God, be with us. They're learning. They're learning. Children learn. They're so intelligent. They learn everything. If we take 1 minute to say, thank you, God, for this day. Protect us. Please protect others. They will learn that. So this is one of the God's laws, the law of adoration, the law of labor, the law of labor. As we work, so I'm talking about little things today, about little ones and little things. As we work, we're washing the dishes, or we're studying, or we're correcting, if you're a teacher, you're correcting a paper, or if you're creating a presentation like me, we can involve them. You know, can you grab that pen for me? So they're doing their little work. Can you set the table? We're engaging them. And then the social law, that's another law too, in which we are interacting with others. That begins in our home. Especially teenagers, they're feeling isolated in their own room. So let's connect with each other inside our homes. Yeah, there is a child in the room, there is another one in the other room. Okay, come here, let's go to the living room. And then the teenagers will ask, and then what is it that I'm going to do in the living room? We can say nothing. You're just going to be here with me. You don't need to be doing anything. Just be here. Just being together. Social, interacting. Another law of God. So I'm talking about loving our children through God's love. What is another law? Natural law. The law of charity, the law of love, the law of compassion. So when we show children that we can love others, that we can be charitable. It's such a comfort for them, especially for teenagers, because nowadays what's going on, it's difficult. Sometimes I drop my daughter off at school, and there's a policeman in one corner of the school. There are two people fighting on the other corner, and it's all like it's kind of chaotic. And then I talked to her, and she says it's normal. And I'm thinking, she thinks this is normal. I say, okay. And then I say, well, it's normal that people your age fight. Oh, yeah, it's normal. And then there's cyberbullying. Oh, it's normal. Oh, cyberbullying is normal. So they are faced with the chaos. And if we love them with God, through God's love, we show them that this is not normal. What's normal is love. What's normal is charity. What's normal is justice. So we talk to them. No, it's not normal. It would be normal if, people were here in peace. Policemen wouldn't. Nowadays they need policemen in the schools. They're there today, but it shouldn't be like that. We talk to them so they understand that this is not the norm. The chaos, the lack of love, the the confusion, that's not the norm. It should be something else. It should be love. It should be compassion. It should be charity. So this is another law. So let's think about other laws here. The law of freedom. That is also one of God's laws that we're going to learn in the Spiritist book. So this is very important. We need to love them when we give them freedom. We need to let them express themselves freely. We need to give space to them to talk about what they feel, to talk about what they think, even if that makes us scary. Sometimes they'll talk about stuff, you share stuff that we think it's crazy or it's scary, but we need to give them that freedom, and we need to give them the room and the space, and we need to create the endurance to tolerate all of that. And then, second, after they show us what they're experiencing, what they're feeling, what they're going through, then we guide them. We guide them. So we need to tolerate and create space and give them freedom. Freedom it's one of God's laws for them to feel. So yeah, you're feeling angry. Okay, you're feeling angry. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about your anger. What is it that you want to do with your anger? You want to go and hate your friend as well, or you want to talk about it and think about ways that you could be better and think about, well, maybe he's having a very hard time at home, or maybe thinking about helping him. What do you think is best? And then what is it that you want to do with your anger? You want to run around the block? You want to listen to music a little louder? Yes. You want to keep talking to me? Talk. So it is important that we allow them to feel what they feel. We need to do that to ourselves too. We need to allow feelings. Feelings are not good or bad. Feelings are feelings. What's good or bad is what we choose to do with the feelings that we feel. For example, we're feeling joy. No, we think it's a great feeling. Yeah, it's a feeling. But let's say that we decide, because we're so joyful, we decide that we're gonna go with that credit card and spend it to the limit. See, it was a feeling that it's okay, but the behavior that we chose as we were feeling that was not okay. So let's think about anger right now, because sometimes we see anger as a bad feeling. Anger is a feeling. And you know that there are a lot of studies in psychology that shows us that severe depression can be a consequence of repressed anger. And then when we're dealing with children and teenagers, if they repress the anger and repress, they will turn the anger towards them and engage in self-harm behavior and do all kinds of things that we don't want them to do. So yeah, there's anger. Let's talk about anger. All right, what we're going to do about this. And then we guide them. So you're having this feeling, and then we love them with God's love. So let's think about God's love. Let's think about God's laws. Love, compassion, charity, justice. Okay, you're feeling angry at your friend, but let's think about this friend. So how does he look like? Is he happy at school? Have you seen his parents picking them up? Oh, his parents never go pick them up. And the other day he was not, I never see him eating up. Okay, maybe he's hungry, or maybe he's missing a father, a mother. Maybe he's suffering. Let it be. Let's pray for him. Let it be. I know you're angry, but let's do something good with that. So we need to give them freedom to express what they feel. So that's one of God's laws too, the freedom. So I am creating this chain of thought to explain to you what is it that I mean when I tell you all, let's love our children through God's laws. So I'm going to the Spiritist book to talk about all the natural laws, all the laws that God gave us to go through life. So we give that to them too, right? So this is about our children. But then I want to go on. Let me drink some water. Then I want to go on and talk about and think a little more about the little ones. So as we go along with Jesus' words and his teachings, when he was saying, let the little ones come to me. And then my question as my title, as an invitation for us to think, who are the little ones? Because it's very obvious that the little ones are children and teenagers. And because, teenagers are children still. When I talked about nature, let's take the children out to nature. I'm thinking about my teenage daughter. She does not like to go out and go to nature, but she is still a child. And I'll tell her, let's go anyways. And she's going to have that mean face. And then we have to exercise our ability to feel unwanted, to feel resistance, to feel not welcomed. Yes, they're going to do that mean face. They're going to, because they're big. And then we think, for a little bit, we think, oh, they know what they're doing. They're almost adults, but they're not. Teenagers are children too. We take them, we go with them, we take them to nature, and we have to, see, I'm going to go back to the children and teenagers. Another law that we learn in the Spiritist book, a natural law, one of the God's law of preservation. Okay, we need to love our children through that law too. Think about children, and when we think about preservation. So as the children are tiny and little, we kind of, you know, go about life looking at their clothes, and they take a shower and they do this, and so we kind of look at that. And then they grow. We see those big people and we think that they're able to take great care of themselves. They're not. We still need to teach them how to maintain, you know, wellness in their bodies, in their space, in their rooms, in their minds, and to take care of themselves. And when there are serious cases, we see scenarios in which they hurt themselves. When it comes to preservation, self-preservation, when there are very serious cases of major depressive disorder, we see self-injury behavior. So we need to teach them. We need to love them through God's love, and tell them, this is, your body is a gift from God. You know, take care of your body, take care of your space. So, but now going to the initial question and going back to Jesus' teachings, when he talks about, let the little ones come to me. So here I have the slide. So these words are profound and yet simple. And when we think about them, we understand that he's not only talking about the little children. So that's the obvious meaning. He's talking about people who are in pain, people who are suffering. He's talking about the powerless. He's talking about the invisible people. He's talking about people who don't have a voice, people who don't belong, people who are segregated, people who are forgotten. So these are the little ones. And in that sense, the message is even more powerful. It's a beautiful message, and I think we need to pay attention. So, and then as we go about the that chapter 8 in the gospel, there is a spirit guide that says, he says, let the frightened and the feeble and those in need of help and consolation come to us. Let the ignorant come. We can enlighten them. Let the sufferers, the sick, and unfortunate come to us, the immature in spirit, the morally frail, and the debased. We will share with them the great remedy that will ease all their hurts and reveal the secret that will cure their innermost wounds, love, and compassion. So, this love that Jesus, because what's the legacy that Jesus left to us? It's love. So this love that Jesus invites us to extend to our children, he also invites us to extend to all those people who are in pain, right? And how can we ease the pain? We can ease the pain loving. We can ease the pain looking at them. We can ease the pain acknowledging them, but not in a place of superiority. Like I have some power, I have something, so I can give it to you. I can help you. No, but in a place of equality. Equality, it's one of God's laws too. I see you because you're my brother. I see you because you're my sister. So these are the little ones that God. So those pictures, I took some time to collect those pictures because I think they reflect what Jesus was trying to show, right? What we learn with Jesus. The little ones. If we look around, we see little ones. In our families, we see little ones. The little ones are the sick, you know. The little ones are the ones who have very limited financial resources. And in consequence, they have limited resources when it comes to health, to education, to housing, to art, to culture, to social life. These are little ones. Little ones are the sick in the body, the sick in the mind, the people who are depressed, the young people who are depressed, the children who are depressed, the adults who are depressed and in pain, in suffering. The little ones are the ones who are segregated, are the ones who face racism, are the ones who face abuse and oppression and discrimination. These are the little ones. The little ones are the different people who perhaps choose a different path or a different orientation or a different lifestyle. The little ones are all of these, the elderly. So these are all the little ones, the immigrant, women to this day, in certain situations, in certain places, in certain, times, we see that women are still powerless, are still voiceless. So all of these people are the little ones. You see there a drink and some pills. The people who struggle with addiction are the little ones. Addiction a lot of times comes to numb. It comes to numb emptiness, pain, suffering. So people who are struggling with addiction are the little ones. So all of these, right? I put the tennis shoes over there again, the teenagers. So I think Jesus is asking us, God is asking us to take a closer look at the little ones and really, you know, look at them, at the same level because we're all brothers and sisters, not as someone superior who knows how to lead the life and who has this. And no, we're all here. We're all on the same boat. So as we look at them, we look at them with love, with compassion, with respect. We understand that they are in a different path. And instead of judging or, criticizing or getting away, we learn, we get curious, we go towards them. So we leave the legacy that Jesus left for us. And in doing so, we grow, right? So, and there is also this, I noticed that as we as we grow in terms of spiritual as our spiritual life grows, as we mature, as we develop, as we go towards the path of inner transformation, and as we go towards the path of loving and understanding ourselves, there is a shift in the way we see life. There is a shift in the way we think. And it's instead of thinking about what can I get from this? What can I get in this situation? What's good for me in here? We slowly but surely see a shift in our minds, and the major question becomes something like this: how can I help? How can I serve here? What can I do? So when I look at a little one, you know, a child, a teenager, or a person who is begging at the street, or a little one in our family who is struggling with addiction, or who is struggling with depression, or an immigrant, we're immigrants, or some another immigrant, or for me, with another person of color. I'm a woman of color. How do I look at myself? How do I look at them? When I think about that and I let that sit in my heart, my focus and my priority, it's not what can I get, it's how can I help. How can I help? And if we go about life in that way, I think we're following the footsteps that Jesus left for us. But then there's this. Then there's another question that comes about. And this is very interesting. So, what if we feel so little that we think, maybe even unconsciously, that we're good for nothing, that we cannot help? What if we are the little ones at certain times? Because isn't that the truth? Aren't we the little ones too? I think that all of us, you know, experienced in some point in our lives pain and oppression and difficulty, loss, sickness, loneliness, emotional distress. So we are the little ones too. And let's think about that. What if we're going through a phase in our lives in which we see ourselves so little that we think we cannot help? Then it's the time to go inwards, go inwards, and go in search for the little one who is there. Because we all carry a little one. We all carry a little one. I have my little one in me. All the memories of my childhood, how I was treated, who was my father, who was my mother, what they didn't. Where did I go to school? I carry a little one in me. We all carry little ones inside ourselves. So depending on that, we're gonna go about life. There are people that did not even have a chance to have parents. There are people now who are adults, but as they go inwards and think about their little ones, they will remember, not having a home, or not having a father, or not having a mother, or having an addicted father, or having a violent mother, or being so poor that they didn't have food to eat. So those memories, they stay. So sometimes, and this is what I hear in my office a lot of times, and this is what I study. Sometimes we feel so small because the little ones that live in us are in need of many things. Yes, they are still there. But hey, our responsibility as adults is to take great care of ourselves. And if we find that little one in there suffering or crying or sick or in need of something, it is our job to go ahead and find help. And the first help is God, is God. Because when we surrender to God in such a complete way that we give ourselves to Him as a little child, He will respond. He will respond. That's why Jesus was saying, and the kingdom of God belongs to those such as these. So when we give ourselves to God with complete surrender and trust, as a little child does, He will respond in so many ways. We just need to pay attention. So, here. And then as we look inwards and we realize, hey, there's so much hurt in there, maybe. Yeah, maybe that's why I feel so small. Maybe that's I feel that I can't help, or I'm no good. No, as we go inwards and we understand that we find solace in God's love. We find shelter in God's love. We find so much love that we can do whatever we need to. We keep moving on. We keep moving on, and we're better able to help others. And then in that same passage that I just read to you about, a guardian spirit was talking about the little ones and how the little ones can be helped by love and compassion. That same spirit will tell us this. God, look, pay attention to this. This is so beautiful. God, don't let love merely lie sleeping in my soul. Make it rise up constantly until it becomes a witness of my thankfulness. So we all have love, love. When I go through the gospel according to Spiritism, one of the most beautiful passages that I find it's the law of love. We all have love within, all of us, all of us. And we need to let it grow. We need to let it show. So when this guardian spirit tells us, that when we are in connection with God, that we ask Him, please, God, don't let the love that is in my soul be there intact and sleeping. Let it rise, let it wake, so that can be an expression of my thankfulness. So let's do that. And even then, if we feel that we're too little anyways, we can do this. We can do little things with great love. I don't know if you all have heard about Mother Teresa. She was just such a great soul. She was one of the most beautiful souls, in my point of view, who lived here on earth. She dedicated her whole life to help the poor, and she would call, I help. She would say, "I help the poorest of the poor." She would go to the streets and help the sick, help the poor, help the people who were there living on the streets, people with HIV positive. Back then, when the illness was discovered, people with leprosy, and she dedicated her life to do that. So I have this book, and as I was making, creating my talk, I felt like I wanted to read this book again. And I said, yeah, this is why I want to read this book again, because she's always talking about the little ones and the little things. And she says, let's do little things with great love. We all can do things for others, for us. And if we can do little things, let's do the little things. Let's do the little things with love. Let's give a smile. Sometimes I'm always driving from here to there, and I stop at the light and I see people there. Perhaps they're asking for money or something, and a lot of times I don't have anything to give, but I want to give them a smile. I want to give them a smile. And I open the window and I smile, and then they smile back. Guess who is the happiest person there? I am the happiest. Because when they smile back to me, it's love that comes to me. So as we do, and in that moment, we really understand that, hey, I'm not superior. I'm not here in the position to give. I'm here in exchange of love. I'm giving him a smile or her, and he is returning that smile, and my day is a lot better. So we can do little things. And if we do little things a lot of times, before we know it, we're living this love that Jesus taught us. And then, she talks in her book about little things. And this, I had to write this down. To smile at someone who is sad, to visit, even for a little while, someone who is lonely. We underestimate. There are so many people out there who are lonely, really lonely. And if you go at the AGB or something, I remember my mother was funny because we used to like to go and eat coxinhas, enroladinho de queijo. These are Brazilian appetizers. And then she would, if there was someone selling stuff, she would just, so you're gonna be here until the end of the day today? She would start a conversation. And then they would look at her with a weird face. And then I would feel weird because at that time I was the teenager and I was like, come on. And then the people would look at her and they would say, yeah, so it's almost 6 o'clock. You were here all day. And then before you know, the person was like, yeah, I've been here all day. I'm kind of tired. But then I have to take 2 buses to get to my home. Oh, really? What bus do you take? Oh, I take this one over here. And oh, but then when you get there, you're gonna eat something. Oh yeah, I'm gonna eat something. So then she would start, and there was some magic in that. So these little things. So, talk to someone who is lonely, to give someone shelter from the rain with our umbrella, to read something for someone who is blind, or bring a flower to somebody, or wash clothes for somebody, or clean the house, the little things. There are many people who can do big things, but there are very few people who will do the small things. But God sees everything great. So, as we're talking about the little ones, we think about the little things. We cannot underestimate the power of the little things, a little note, a little song, a little smile, something, something. So, Mother Teresa, she won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1979. And when she was accepting that prize, she said something that I want to read to you. It's about the poor and poverty. This is what she said when she was accepting the Nobel Prize. I choose the poverty of our poor people, but I am grateful to receive the Nobel in the name of the hungry, the naked, the homeless, of the crippled, of the blind, of the lepers, of all those people who feel unwanted, unloved, uncared for throughout society. People that have become a burden to the society and are shunned by everyone. So as she was receiving that prize, these were her words. And I'm gonna go ahead talking about her because she's gonna talk now about spiritual poverty. This one, it's hard to see it because, physical poverty, financial poverty, physical poverty, the concrete poverty, it's out there in our face. But spiritual poverty, it's hard to see. And it can be so close to us. So this one, we need to pay close attention to that. When I pick up a hungry person from the street, I give him a rice, a piece of bread. But a person who is shut out, who feels unwanted, unloved, terrified, that spiritual poverty is much harder to overcome. This is important. Some, we, we, we could have a family member close to us who is experiencing the spiritual poverty. We could have people in our own homes who are going through that. When we think about teenagers, when we think about children, when we think about elderly, and we don't see. And we don't see not because we are guilty or because we're bad, because this is the life that we have right now in the materialistic world that we live in the planet that we live in, that is going through a big transition right now. It's a planet that is going through difficulties. So we are also trying to do the best that we can, but sometimes we may not see. So we need to pay attention about that spiritual poverty. We need to ask ourselves, am I in spiritual poverty right now? Do I need connection? And we need to act on that as well. So, and then she goes on and talks about families, because that's how I began my, and I don't know, yeah, I still have time. That's how I began my talk today, talking about children, talking about teenagers. So now I go back to that scenario. So when she talks about family, let's take a look about what she says when she thinks about families. Everybody today seems to be in such a terrible rush, anxious for greater development and greater riches, so that children have very little time for their parents, and parents have very little time for their children and for each other. So the breakdown of peace in the world begins at home. She won the Nobel Peace Prize, and she's going to the core. So, you know, we look at the little ones, we look at people who suffer, but I think the priority, the biggest work is to look to what's close to us, look to our families, look to ourselves, and ask, so what's happening to the little ones here close to me? So what's going on with my little one, this child roommate that I carry inside? What's going on here? So we get strong in the core. As we grow stronger in the core, we're better able to help in our communities, in our cities, in the world in a larger scale. It's really a work of going within, right? Looking within. Yes. And then she talks about that. It's easy to smile at people outside your own home. It is easy to take care of people that you don't know well. Oh, yes, it is difficult to be thoughtful and kind and to smile and be loving to your own in the house day after day, especially when we are tired and in a bad temper or bad mood. We all have these moments, and that is the time that Christ comes to us in a distressing disguise. See how she talks about it? So, in those moments, when the people who are close to us, the people the people who we love the most, those moments that are very difficult, and that it's very difficult for us to extend that love, to extend that kindness. In that moment, Christ is looking at our face. Christ is coming to us in disguise. And then, if we think about that, we can pause for a moment and we can decide how we want to act. What is it that we want to do, right? I think it's beautiful when she said, this is Christ coming to us in a distressing disguise. A long time ago when I was studying, let me drink here a little bit. A long time ago when I was studying, about the biggest names in psychology, I studied about Jung. He was a disciple of Freud, for Sigmund Freud, the man who created psychoanalysis. Jung was his disciple first, and then he created his own psychology, analytical psychology. And then in his autobiography, it's entitled Memories, Dreams, and Reflections. He talks about going around, the globe and visiting many cultures. And then this one time he talks about going to to um, to see this. I think it was an indigenous culture. I don't know where. I don't recall, but uh, he finds so beautiful one of the habits that these people had. He said that every day the parents, the mother or the father, they would get the little child and they would lay down with the child and put the little child's heart in contact with their heart. So the father or the mother would carry the child, put here, and their hearts would be in contact, and they would hear each other's hearts. And this is it was one habit that they would do every single day, mother and child or father and the child. And he was impressed with that, and he thinks about the way we lead our lives, right? And then he goes back to his practice and his work, and he's thinking about the way he does things and about the way we do things, and how sometimes we're kind of disconnected from our own. So I think it's time for us to find ways to connect, to really connect with our children, if we have children, with people, with our partners, with people who live with us. And if we don't have people at our homes, it's time to connect with the friends that we have. And it's time to connect with the community. And it's time to really, look at these little things, look at the little ones, and look at the little ones within us. And always find solace and shelter in God, in God's love, in Jesus' legacy, so we can move on. And then Mother Teresa keeps saying, whoever the poorest of the poor are, they are Christ for us. Christ under the guise of human suffering. So I think this is I think my main message was really that one, for us to ask who are the little ones as we go about life, as we are doing our things, and we look at people and we're interacting with people in our jobs, in our families, in our communities. In that given situation, we if you remember that, we ask ourselves, who are the little ones here? And yes, if I am feeling bigger here or good or well, how can I help? What can I do? And if in a given situation we are feeling like the little one there, so that we go and look for help and connect with God and, let the love spread. And then again, if there are times when you're feeling so tired, I think about myself and my life, there are times at the end of the day when I feel so tired that I don't know if I even have energy or presence to be with my little ones. But it's just a little time, taking a little breath, going outside and literally asking for help. Like, please God, help me here, like, and in a state of constant prayer. So we can find energy, we can find ideas, and we can go about this task. And again, when we're feeling tired, when we're feeling small, we can always go here, going back to Jesus' words. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I'll give you rest. Jesus Christ. So yeah, because I think when we're in the quest and with the purpose of having awareness about suffering, about pain, about the little ones and about the little things, we may find ourselves weary and tired and sad and in shock, like the way that I began my talk today, of talking about the shootings at school and how children nowadays are most vulnerable and everything that is going on in the world. But let's never forget that whenever we feel tired, the love of God is there to give us rest, to give us shelter, to give us direction, to guide us. You know, the words of Jesus are there, you know, to give us clarity and to refresh our energy, our faith, so we can go about life living that legacy, a legacy of love, and see uh, things changing, because things change in little ways too. Today, I'm really talking about the little things so that we become aware. So, because when we find rest in God's love, we become aware of the changes, the little changes. So we pay attention to that, the little changes, you know. Your child starts to act in a different way with you, it's more open with you. Or, you know, like I was reading yesterday, Adriana was sending, she talked about this volunteer work that we do here in our spiritual center, that we bring material goods for people out in the streets, and we bring love too, and they had great feedback. People who were receiving that were giving them feedback. You know, they were glad, they were happy. So we see the little changes happening too here on Sundays. When I have time to bring my daughters here on Sundays, it's just a such a blast. You know, it's such a joy to see. There was, you know, last time I came here on Sunday for the, you know, when the little children come and they learn about God, it was just so beautiful. There are little tiny children here, babies, and, you know, 7-year-old, 8-year-old kids and teenagers, and the room was filled with people, and there were young people here singing and playing, and I just felt such comfort. I felt such joy. You know, I began coming here 13, 14 years ago. I was pregnant with my first daughter, and I have been talking here for, you know, all this time. And then I see these people here, I see children here, I see my daughters here. See, we see the little changes too. We see the little love that we plant in their hearts. We see that growing. So we turn our attention to that, from the pain, from the suffering, from the chaos. We turn our attention to the love, to the growth, to the little changes that are happening. And then before we know it, we're taking a different route. We're taking that route that we think about: regeneration, transformation, love, community. And then it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. You see how the little things are powerful. Sometimes I'm driving here in Mopec, and then now the blue bonnets are not there anymore, but the yellow flowers are. If you notice, the blue bonnets are gone, but the little yellow flowers, poof, and then the flowers are so small. But pay attention to that. You're there, you're stressed, but if you take a look at the flowers, being present, and if you remember that the little flower is such a magnificent expression of the love that God has for me and for you, the flowers will give you new life. You get refreshed. You get to your destination. You do your work. You see the people that you love with a smile, just because you looked at that little flower. And you remember that the little flower was a gift from God to you, to us. So let's love our children through that love, through the love of God. Let's love the little ones through that love. Let's love ourselves, our little ones who are within, with that kind of love. Doing those little things, we're going to end up doing great things. And we're going to see things changing. Because this is the law of progress. So I began my talk today talking about the shootings and the suicide and all. But hey, that's not where our mind has to go. No, our mind has to take notice of those things, but our mind has to go a different way, which is the law of love, the law of progress. We're here to love each other. We're here to grow. We're here to evolve. So progress takes place. Yeah, this is what I had to say today. And thank you. Thank you. We still, yeah, we
Yeah,
still,
wonderful.
Okay,
yeah, we
Graal.
still
I'm going to stop recording.